The following has been brought to you by SJP World Media.
Look, if you're asking me if I believe I am capable of beating Roman Reigns, yes, I believe that. If you were asking me if I think I'm capable of becoming the undisputed Universal Champion, yes, I believe that. If you're asking me if I think I am worthy of being WrestleMania main event material, yes, I believe that. I have to believe that with every fiber of my being, because if I don't believe that, no one else will, Cody, okay? But if you're asking me if I actually think that I'm gonna be the one walking out of Montreal as the new undisputed Universal Champion, I don't know. Okay, Cody, I don't know.
You don't know? That's what you're saying to me? You don't know? It seems like everybody here knows. It seems like your hometown of Montreal, where they watched you as an upstart wrestler and they're gonna be chanting your name, it seems like they know. I haven't been where you've been. I haven't watched Roman Reigns up close, but I have watched him from the sidelines. I've watched him from when he became champion to now, and you're right, everybody has fallen. But here's the other thing. There's dissension in the bloodline for the first time ever, in his bloodline, and that's because of you. Cracks in the armor, holes in the scales, and that's because of you. The idea that the greatest champion of our generation could possibly be dethroned, becoming a reality, is because of you. This awesome moment in time that we're all here for is because of you. You want to say that Roman Reigns is God mode? Well, put it on a t-shirt, print it, it looks real good there. But Roman Reigns is a man, Sami. You crack him open at the Elimination Chamber and you find out for yourself. I won the 2023 Royal Rumble. I punched my ticket. Michael Cole said it on commentary. He said, finish the story, finish the story, finish the story. I intend to finish my story. You need to finish yours.
You're listening to In the Corner with Benny Mac. Unfiltered, uncensored, and unforgiving. Here's the man in the corner, Benny Mac.
Ladies and gents, welcome to Ep of In the Corner. I am, of course, Benny Mac. Going solo today. Don't worry, Tyler has sent in his predictions for Elimination Chamber, and I tell you what, top of the show there. Watching you guys listening back to part of the promo between Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn. Genuinely, as I'm sat here, goosebumps. What a cool moment that was. Didn't expect Sami Zayn to be on Raw this week. Didn't expect Cody and Sami to be in the same room together, to be totally honest, because of Sami's rise and his rise that he's had, since being with the Bloodline, leaving the Bloodline, etc., etc. And keeping those two apart seemed like a good idea, but actually having those two to come together, have a conversation on Raw, and as you heard, the end of that, I think it was about 11 minutes or so, 12 minutes, 15, maybe at the most, the whole segment, but it was bloody brilliant. And it basically proves to me that, yes, Raw, and I say every week on the show with Tyler normally, but Raw, 3 hours long. It's a long-ass show. But it's almost it is worth watching at the moment. Cody, the Bloodline, Roman, Sami, yes, you say just the bloodline, but all these stories are leading off to this. So Jay, this past week on SmackDown, fist bumping Sami backstage, turning up and telling Jimmy, successfully defending the tag team titles with his brother Jimmy, but telling him he's not sure about where his head is at in terms of the bloodline. Then fist bumping Sami, Paul Heyman overhearing what Jay said to Jimmy, and then Jimmy saying he didn't say anything. So cracks are starting to form, as Cody Rhodes said there at the top of the show. Amazing stuff. SmackDown was bloody brilliant this week. I'm not going to go to like a full review of SmackDown because I don't have enough time. There's so much to cover in a short space of time here today on the show. Elimination Chamber is this Saturday. I'm looking forward to it. I'm so buzzing for saying Elimination Chamber. Can't even get my words out. In Montreal, Sami's hometown. Tyler did send me a voice memo not long ago, so we'll play his predictions. I'll go through them as well. I have also wrote mine down as well, and I will say we've got a few the same, but generally we got a couple in here that we're both thinking different. So it's interesting how our minds work. But yeah, I've kind of covered basically SmackDown in a sense of the main bloodline stuff. Just the fact that stuff's going on. Sami, the biggest apart from those things I mentioned, one of the biggest things Sami said to Jey Uso is, "I acknowledge you," to Jey Uso. Very, very interesting. SmackDown overall was a good show. The tag team talk. What got me is that this is how over the bloodline is. Even though Roman's very much hated at the moment. Now, to be fair, it's been very, I would say, 60-40, 50-50. It's swinging both ways on the 60-40, but generally crowds have been cheering until the stuff that happened at Rumble, and the Roman is proper, at the moment, at least in the shows he's been on, it's been full like heel booing people from the crowd. Whereas the Usos are technically a part of that. Jay turning up to defend the SmackDown Tag Team titles against Ricochet and Braun Strowman was really good, to be honest. But the response the crowd, those two got, they like the Usos, and the Usos are bloody great. To be fair, they're a bloody great team. It's just how things have panned out today, ladies and gents. Tyler will be back next week, hopefully, if all things go to plan. Just certain things have happened today, and we just haven't been able to connect, unfortunately. But like I said, he sent me his voicemail for his predictions. Before I get into Raw, and it's such a shame I can't talk to Tyler about this really, but I put a question out on Twitter, and I'll probably get his thoughts next week. But I asked, would you like to see the WWE European Championship back? If so, who should be the first champ if they bring it back? Now, this has been rumoured on and off for the last year or so of the European title. Obviously, we have NXT Europe starting, I believe, in the next couple of months. No, I haven't looked at, haven't seen anything so far, but it's supposed to be the first quarter of this year, so we're getting there. Maybe after WrestleMania, I would assume, or at least maybe it will get announced WrestleMania weekend. I have no idea. But yeah, who should be the first champ if it's brought back? I should have asked who your favourite European champion was. So, I mean, if you want to put those comments in with that'd be great, and I'll read them out next time. But yeah, I should have put that in. That's such a shame. Let's get to the first one. Witticisms of Ben on Twitter, at Witticisms of Ben. But it should have been brought back for either Cesaro or Rusev. That's a great shout, to be fair. Rusev so popular at the time, wasn't it? That's not a bad shout, actually. I like that. But he said they should have been brought back. Of course, neither one of those were the company at the moment, but it would have been so cool. Scottish Gigolo says it would be cool to have it back, especially with the current reach WWE has over here. Maybe put it on Level Up or something like that. So he's referring to NXT. But NXT Europe is launching, so like I said, it's not a bad idea. One Man's Meat Pod, at One Man's Meat Podcast. If they're waiting to be serious about NXT Europe, then bring it back as the main title. They're probably, if they're going to do that, maybe they could do that, actually. I was thinking of the UK, because it's not United Kingdom anymore, is it? NXT UK, it's NXT Europe. So yeah, do you know what? That's not a bad shout, actually, to be honest. And yeah, that's, do you know what? I'm really cool, actually, if they'd have European champion. Makes sense to me. Who's that? Sorry, California with a K. California, that's really clever actually. WZWA on Twitter. When they bring back NXT Europe, he says the same thing. UTT Rob says, not unless it's only Europeans that can compete for it. Now, if you're in NXT Europe, that makes perfect sense, to be honest. Anonymous Beeping on Twitter says, Pete Dunne. Who's that? I know who you mean. He kind of looks like that Butch guy on SmackDown. Yeah, Pete Dunne, not a bad shout. Pigs Bladder says, at Pigs Bladder on Twitter says, Butch. So Pete Dunne. So yeah, not a bad shout. I appreciate everybody for. And do you know what? I didn't do this.
Let me talk to you.
Let's try that again.
Let me talk to you.
There you go. That's what I should. This is a Let Me Talk to You section of the podcast, which I forgot to hit the button beforehand. And no Tyler, running the show by myself. No, it's all good. But thank you very much for for answering the question. Any thoughts on anything WWE? Chuck it our way at In the Corner WWE on Twitter. I'm going to try and come up with one every week, sometimes relating to what's going on in current WWE or what's been going on that week, or even like this where we say European title. I love the European Championship. William Regal, obviously European champion. Al Snow dressing as different people in the different parts of Europe, which I thought was quite funny at the time. But yeah, NXT Europe. So I'm quite fascinated by the fact that could go into as a main title into NXT Europe, which then could eventually be defended on PLEs maybe. And imagine seeing the European Championship being defended in the UK. Obviously, Money Bank's coming up. Hopefully, we'll have more PLEs, pay-per-views in this country as well going forward. We've obviously had Clash of the Castle. I'm hoping that becomes an annual thing because that was really cool. I thoroughly enjoyed Clash of the Castle. But yeah, I'm hoping we get more. So yeah, NXT Europe is a good segue into that. Using the European title as maybe the main title. Why not? To Europe. So it makes perfect sense to me. So yeah, we'll move on to Raw. Do you know what? 3 hours long. And this is where I'm getting to. Yes, I know it's 3 hours long and it is a struggle to watch it all. But overall, a pretty good show, to be honest. And it's the Bloodline, Cody, Sami, Austin Theory is United States champion. You got Brock and Lashley going on. As much as I want to see that, I'm hoping it's the last time, to be honest with you, because it's the third in their series of matches. Bobby Lashley getting one over on Brock again this week, so very good, to be honest. Rhea Ripley returned this week as well. That was a cool. So Judgment Day defeated the Street Profits in a tag team match. But after the match, Damian Priest jumped on Montez Ford, because obviously those two are in the men's Elimination Chamber match for the United States Championship, trying to get their own way. And again, we have Edge come out with that music. As much as I love Edge, it's becoming that is the one thing that is slightly predictable to a degree. I've already made it said that I said on the show last week with Tyler that, yes, the tag team match with Finn, Edge, so Rhea Ripley, Finn, Edge, and Beth teaming up in a tag team match. I actually want to see Rhea versus Beth more than I want to see Edge versus Finn, to be totally honest with you. But that's what we've got. Of course, things could change. Obviously, we've talked about matches before on this show, and then when you get to the pay-per-view, the dynamic of it's changed somewhat. So, yeah, overall, pretty good. Phoenix was about to finish off Dominic again with a Glam Slam, I think it's called, and Rhea Ripley came out of nowhere and ambushed Phoenix and then hit her with a Riptide. And again, I want to see those two go at it more than anything. Rhea Ripley is on fire at the moment. Obviously, she's headed to Mania. She's going to take on Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown. Well, that's how it's set at the moment. SmackDown Women's Championship. We'll get to those as we get closer, but interesting to say the least. Rick Boogs defeated The Miz. I'm not a massive fan of Rick Boogs at the moment, although quite a funny segment between Boogs and Elias. Elias floundering a little bit. Same with, Baron Corbin. Interesting thing happened to Baron Corbin. He's supposed to be having an interview backstage with Kathy Kelly, and then he gets cut away because Sami invades on Raw. And as you heard at the top of the show, they're part of that segment. But when they came back to him later on in the show, he started talking smack about Sami, then started bad-mouthing Cody. But what happens in the background? Cody comes from Gorilla, and he stood there at a table, like looking at a table, and he hears Baron Corbin. And Baron Corbin's moaning about the fact that he got given number 30 of who he is. And Cody doesn't really... So he sort of nods and goes, okay. Then he starts talking smack about Dusty, and then Cody loses it. And we end up having an impromptu match with Baron Corbin. And Cody goes over... pretty good match, to be honest, in the short space of time that they had. Baron Corbin going from bad to worse, basically being dumped by JBL the week before, and now this. Interesting to know where Baron Corbin's going to go from this, because, again, I like the guy. I actually think there's potential there, but the JBL stuff, as much as me and Tyler enjoyed it initially, and I enjoyed it, it comes to a point where you look at the characters of JBL. How many more times can we see Corbin not care about wins and losses when JBL's bestowed this new age wrestling god on him? I like my idea of the high end protection agency. They should have gone that way instead, but he was talking bad about JBL. Whether this leads to JBL coming back and having words with Corbin, maybe some tough love, I have no idea. But I'm interested to see where Corbin goes. Elias and Corbin definitely need as my my co-host on occasion, Tyler says, a recoat of paint. Maybe. I don't know what that is, what that looks like. Again, I like the Corbin back in the day, the Lone Wolf stuff. It just didn't quite get the push that it did. I mean, Corbin, he's had a pretty good career, to be fair, coming from NXT into the main roster. This bum-ass, poor, rich thing, it was anything really, to be honest. When he became the rich thing again for a little bit, there was quite a lot of heat on him, but I think it generally fizzled out because it wasn't going anywhere. When he was teamed with Madcap Moss for a bit, Madcap Moss was quite annoying, but they played each other. They were just annoying. You just want to see them get their ass kicked, which they kind of did with Drew McIntyre mainly. So, but yeah, Miz hosted his Miz TV before his match with Rick Boogs. Basically pushed Rollins too far by pointing out that he's not in the main event again this year, and the fact that he was eliminated by Logan Paul in the Rumble. Got to say, some absolutely stunning boots there from Seth Rollins. If you've seen it, if you haven't seen it, go and check it out. That's all I'll say. Eventually, Austin Theory runs down and hits the A-Town down on Seth Rollins. Obviously, again, these two are also in the Elimination Chamber. Austin Theory is obviously defending his United States Championship. Bobby Lashley signed the contract with to face Brock Lesnar at Elimination Chamber. Now, and again, backstage, we saw another segment with people being interviewed, but we saw MVP, Cedric Alexander, and Shelton Benjamin all chatting backstage. We'll get to our predictions. Well, I'll get to our predictions in a moment. But what I want to add to this is, do we see them reform Hurt Business at Elimination Chamber, possibly helping Lashley defeat Brock? 1, 2, 3. Or does Lashley not have any help and he beats Brock clean? Because I don't think he's done that yet. Because when he beat Brock for the WWE Championship, there was other factors involved in that, Roman Reigns being one of them. So, does Lashley beat Brock clean? I have no idea. I kind of want the Hurt Business to come back. I'm gonna lay it out there now and say Hurt Business, in some shape or form, gets involved in that match. Now, whether they reform, I don't know. But I genuinely believe that the former Hurt Business members will be getting involved in that match. That's my hope, anyway. But I'm going to say they get involved, definitely. Like I said, I'll get to the predictions in a moment, sorry. But we'll move on. Bianca Belair. This was quite interesting. So Becky Lynch is with Adam I already said Adam Cole then. Baby! No, Adam Pearce in the ring and basically says she wants to enter the Elimination Chamber, which would make it a triple threat to start with the others locked in the pods. Bayley comes out, basically says the same thing. Bianca Belair then comes out and says, gets involved with it. And Adam Pearce actually makes the match a triple threat match. Bayley, Becky, Bianca. Now, if Bayley or Becky won that triple threat, then they would enter the Elimination Chamber to become the number one contender, to try and attempt to become the number one contender for the Raw Women's Championship. But if Belair wins, then neither will go in. As it turns out, Belair won, and neither are going to Elimination Chamber. So what plans does that give us for Becky and Bayley going forward? We obviously have Elimination Chamber coming up Saturday. As far as I can tell, they're not booked anywhere in terms of matches. But you never know with Damage Control and Bayley, so we'll see what happens there. I think I've already mentioned Baron. Yeah, I did. Yeah, the biggest thing of the night for me, and I think for a lot of people, was the Cody Sami interaction. It was really good, and again, storytelling here is absolutely amazing. And obviously, the way they've pushed it as well. Cody saying, "Oh, I don't want to see you Monday. I want to see you at WrestleMania." So it's either the way that even WWE on socials are pushing it, that it's either going to be Cody versus Roman or Cody versus Sami. Now, there's a lot of fans, and I was one of them. I think there is potential there. This is the thing. It's must-watch TV, and you don't really know. For once, you don't really know where this is going. And I tell you why, and I'll give you another reason why I'm not 100% sure where this is going, because a theory that I heard today was really fascinating and actually left my consciousness once Royal Rumble had finished. So, right, so several ways this could go. Obviously, most people are probably going to say that Sami's not going to beat Roman. I think it's going to be a hell of a match regardless of what happens. A hell of a match. The crowd response is going to be amazing for Sami. It's going to be a big fight feel, etc., etc. The main event alone is worth watching Elimination Chamber. I'm not getting paid to say that. I think it's genuinely worth watching. If you're a casual viewer, obviously it's WrestleMania season, so it's worth watching Elimination Chamber as we lead up to that big event, WrestleMania. There's 2 nights we have coming up in Hollywood. So here are a few, which I'm sure many would already know or even thought of. Roman retains, goes on to WrestleMania, and takes on Cody. Simple. Sami wins the WWE Undisputed Universal Heavyweight Championship, which then gives Roman the cause for a rematch, probably WrestleMania. But problem is with that, Cody Rhodes is the Royal Rumble winner of 2023, which guarantees him the main event at WrestleMania against the champion. So does that make it a triple threat match? Several ways this could go. This theory really interested me, and I cannot believe I didn't. It's not that I forgot about it, because of the way things went down at the Rumble and the whole chair to the back and stuff, and we heard Final Test. Remember that for a moment? Final Test there, lads. What if there is a massive swerve coming? What if the Final Test... Yes, Sami's taking him on at Elimination Chamber. This whole breaking up the bloodline could be a massive swerve. The Final Test is Sami, and we go through Elimination Chamber. Sami doesn't get it, but still as a massive baby face, fans want him to be in Mania. He can fight for a WrestleMania match, possibly even against the Usos for the tag team titles. Maybe KO and Sami, which is the big fans' biggest thing. Usos retain the tag team titles at Mania. We have an epic match between Cody and Roman. But when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, Usos get involved, Solo's involved, Paul Heyman's out there already, Sami comes out, maybe even with KO, but KO gets taken out, Sami gets in the ring and actually takes out Cody Rhodes to help Roman retain against the American Nightmare. And actually that was the Final Test all along, and Sami is now a full-fledged member of the Bloodline. What a swerve that would be. I mean, what do you think, ladies and gents? Because that theory blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, that could actually happen. So there's so many ways this could go. Of course, it could be the most obvious. It could be Sami doesn't win, Cody goes into Mania, beats Roman. Tag team titles are also lost to Sami and maybe KO. But part of me thinks that Roman is going to, as we sit here right now talking to you, Roman's going to retain at Mania. And there's been so much talk about these titles being split back up. So one could be on Raw, one could be on SmackDown. If they're still going to go that route, I still think Roman will be champion into Money in the Bank. And I believe if they announce, if Roman does retain and then they end up having, again, there's so many ways this could go. But one way of getting at least one of the championships off Roman, quite possibly, you could have Money in the Bank, and one's for the WWE Championship and one's for the Universal Championship. And Roman could have a really bad night and end up losing both titles or even one. Or, one theory I thought of beforehand, which I think we discussed on the show with myself and Tyler, maybe we have a triple threat at Mania. First four for the Universal Championship, Roman retains. Second four for the WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes takes it off him. So Cody Rhodes fulfills his dream and his thing that he wants to do. Roman goes back to SmackDown as the Universal Champion. Cody goes back to Raw as the WWE Champion. Regardless, the next month or two lead into Mania. Well, we got, like I said, Elimination Chamber. We got another month or so before Mania. Must watch TV. Everything. Every time the Bloodline's on, Roman's on. Sami, Cody, Usos, Paul Heyman. So many things could happen, and I'm looking forward to it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and what you think is going to happen at In the Corner WWE on Twitter. Please let me know. Okay, right. Time is getting away from us. One little thing I thought, because Cody did say on Raw I believe you can beat Roman, basically hoist, but I don't think it invigorating Sami Zayn to beat Roman at Elimination Chamber. Now, a Paul Heyman or a Jay or a Jimmy or even a Roman could publicly say, even whether directly or indirectly to Sami, he's only saying for you to beat Roman because Cody knows he can't beat Roman, but he knows he can beat Sami. So there's there's a little storyline right there that could happen. As I said, regardless of what happens, the next month or so is going to be really interesting in WWE, and I hope they can carry this momentum into Money in the Bank and onwards. So looking forward to it. Let's move on to the final segment of the show, ladies and gents. So, right, I've got the audio of Tyler somewhere, and he sent me a voice message earlier on his picks. I'll go through them as well, but I'll just let you hear Tyler a little bit so he can tell you what his predictions are.
All right, Benny, I've got the Judgment Day winning against Edge and Beth Phoenix. I've got Austin Theory retaining the United States Championship in the men's Elimination Chamber match. I've also got Roman Reigns retaining against the hometown boy Sami Zayn. And I've got Raquel Rodriguez winning the women's Elimination Chamber match. And I'm going to go with Bobby Lashley against Brock Lesnar in their match. And I think that's all the matches that are listed.
There you go. So that's Tyler's picks. Again, you're probably not going to remember what he just said, but don't worry about it. I'm going to go through them anyway as we sit here together going through it. So he said Brock Lesnar versus Lashley. Again, I would love the Hurt Business to get involved in this just to see those reform, really. And it makes perfect sense to me, but, things happen. But Tyler went with Lashley. I also picked Lashley on that one. I haven't copied him, I swear. It could go a different way. Maybe, but I feel like the way things have gone, the Hurt Business and the way Lashley is at the moment, it makes sense. Right, so Edge and Beth Phoenix team up against the Judgment Day in the members of Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. Very interesting. Tyler has gone for, he said the Judgment Day, didn't he? So Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. Now, I understand that 100%. That makes perfect sense. The tear that Ripley has been on and stuff, but I think, honestly, maybe we will have Beth versus Rhea Ripley at some point. Maybe Rhea does double duty at WrestleMania, and maybe she goes against Beth and then goes against Charlotte later on in the evening, or even goes against Beth. She could quite easily go against Beth on the Saturday and, take on Charlotte on the Sunday or vice versa. So, could be interesting. So Tyler went with Judgment Day, as in Finn and Rhea. I'm going with Edge and Beth, and I think Edge will get that spear on Finn after the I Quit match, after everything that happened. I believe they will get some sort of semblance of revenge on the Judgment Day in terms of the match, but I think ultimately the Judgment Day will attack, which I hope will lead to Rhea versus Beth one-on-one, which I really want to see. I can't be the only one, but let me know if you don't want to see that. I think that'd be amazing. Or it has the potential to be amazing. Elimination Chamber match to determine the number one contender for the Raw Women's title. So as you heard, Raquel. So let me tell you who's in there: Asuka, Liv Morgan, Nikki Cross, Raquel Rodriguez, Natalia, and Carmella. Now, Tyler went with Raquel Rodriguez. My first choice, genuinely, I have changed it. I've gone for my second choice, but my first choice was Carmella. Her recent return and stuff like that. But, maybe not. But I'm looking at this list, and nothing against Carmella, against any of them, really, to be honest. My top three are Carmella, Asuka, and Liv Morgan, but I have to pick one. So Tyler's gone for Raquel Rodriguez. I'm going to go for Asuka. What a rise it would be to that new look she's got, that like evil sort of thing she had. I believe it allegedly in Japan and stuff. So I think it's really cool. It's amazing how, I know she's got face paint on her, but it's amazing how different she looks, and the whole presentation of her has changed. And I'm hoping this is the launch pad moving forward. Asuka versus Bianca Belair, who Bianca Belair has been like undefeated for is it a year or something like that? Nobody's ready for Asuka. So that is my pick for that one. So Tyler went for Raquel Rodriguez and I went for Asuka. I've got all these written down. I've got these saved. And then obviously, hopefully Tyler will be here next week and we can connect and we can talk about Elimination Chamber, Raw, all our picks and everything. So keep it tuned to In the Corner out on SJP Raw Media. Thank you very much. We are not done though. Elimination Chamber match for the WWE United States Championship. Austin Theory defends against Seth freaking Rollins, Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed, Damian Priest, Montez Ford. Now, when I watched Raw this week, I was thinking maybe Damian Priest, and that would be a great thing for the Judgment Day to have a title amongst their ranks. But you know what? I think they can wait to WrestleMania. Rhea Ripley. Again, as I see it right now, I think Rhea is probably going to defeat Charlotte, but I don't know that for a fact. But we'll see how my opinion changes over the next couple of weeks. But Tyler went for Austin Theory. I've also gone for Austin Theory to retain. And compared to the last time Austin Theory was in a Elimination Chamber match, he got F5'd off the top of the pods by Brock, and I was like, don't do that. So yeah, those are my picks. So we got a couple there that's different. So can I actually win a pay-per-view for once? I have no idea. Right. Tyler's gone for Roman Reigns to retain the title. My head says Roman Reigns is going to retain. It's going to be interesting regardless of what happens. If Sami Zayn does win, the pop in Montreal, Sami Zayn, the undisputed champion, oh my God. My heart wants Sami Zayn to win it so much. But my head says Roman Reigns, so I'm going to have to agree with Tyler on that one. As much as I would love to see Sami Zayn as the undisputed champion or even a heavyweight champion. I loved it when he won the NXT title back in the day. The rivalry he had with Kevin Owens was brilliant after the fact. It's just, and then he came onto Raw, but unfortunately got an injury. But so what a story, not a comeback story, but what a story for Sami Zayn if he could beat Roman Reigns. My heart says Sami. My head says Roman Reigns, so I'm going to agree with Tyler. So we've only got, what have we got there? We've got two different people that we've gone through. So I've gone for, the only two that are different, I've gone for Edge and Beth to win the match against the Judgment Day. Tyler's gone for Judgment Day, and in the women's match, I've gone for Asuka, and he's gone for Rodriguez. So it's going to be interesting on who wins, basically. So, but yeah, thank you very much for listening to the show. Thank you very much for supporting SJP World Media. Check out @InTheCorner on Twitter. at In the Corner WWE on Twitter, I beg your pardon, and at SJP Raw Media. Got some great In the Corner merch out now, and I cannot wait to grab one myself, to be totally honest. But thank you very much for listening to the show. This is Benny Mac, and we'll see you all again next Wednesday for our Elimination results and Raw. Thank you very much.
What?